The Venus Project recognizes that the Earth is indeed abundant with resources, and that our outdated methods of rationing resources through monetary control are no longer relevant, and in fact very counterproductive to the efficiency of society and hence our survival. The monetary system was created thousands of years ago during periods of great scarcity and has no legitimate relationship to our true capacity to produce goods and services on this planet in this day and age. We know now that with a unified systems approach to global management, as we have just described, that the human species will be able to express its full potential. In fact, I will say explicitly that that is the only way you could ever maximize the efficiency of the planet and hence our usage of it, is a global systems approach. Modern developments in science and technology, as we have just discussed, can now allow for this approach to become a reality. To summarize a resource-based economy, first, it utilizes existing resources rather than commerce. All goods and services are available without the use of currency, credit, no barter, no debt, no servitude. The aim of this new social design is to not only free humanity from the repetitive, mundane, and arbitrary occupational roles, many of which hold no true relevance for social development, but also encourage a new incentive system that is focused on self-fulfillment, symbiotic awareness, education, social awareness, and creativity, as opposed to the contrived, shallow, self-centered, corruption-generating goals of wealth, property, and power, which are not only dominant today, but abhorrently actually praised by the population. The great realization of this concept is that through the intelligent management of the Earth's resources, along with the liberal application of modern technology and science, we have the ability to create a near global abundance on this planet and thus escape the detrimental consequences, both physical and psychological, generated by the real and artificial scarcity and waste which is prevalent today. The end goal isn't just about physical sustainability in and of itself, in fact. It's also about the larger goal of cultural change. The values of humanity are created by the social system, and we feel this approach will not only bring us in line with natural law, enabling a high standard of living, but will ease social stress dramatically and allow for people to flourish without the aberrated consequences we see over and over today. We're being poisoned by our social system. War, poverty, and 95% of all crime are essentially monetary related if you look carefully. The Venus Project recognizes this, and if we can adapt to this new approach, I think we can completely eliminate these issues. So, to further understand this resource-based economy, we need to consider a new approach to our core social institutions, namely industry and government. Industry, in our use of the word, has to do with the methods of production and distribution of goods and services in a society. This includes, of course, labor. The first step, as we have already alluded to, is an objective survey and strategic resource allocation based on location and potential and demand. We have already discussed how such parameters make the process self-evident as you go along and gain new information. The only variable is the value-based social needs, which range from bare necessities, such as food, water, and shelter, to utility-based production items, such as tools, automation machines, technological development, etc., to items used for non-utility-based purposes, such as televisions, radios, and entertainment, leisurely-oriented issues. And by the way, we will address how products are invented in a moment. The second step is then the optimization of production itself, with the focus on maximum efficiency. The only way to achieve maximum efficiency in all sectors is by removing human involvement. And bear with me, removing human involvement in as many areas as possible. We want to focus on labor automation. As most of you know, automation or mechanization has been replacing labor in all sectors continually since the Industrial Revolution. While there is a constant debate about what this means for labor in the future, and the very real possibility that technological displacement, known as technological unemployment, will slowly overcome the integrity of the employment market itself, one thing we do know for sure, and that is the reality that the more we mechanize, the more productive things become. Here is a chart of the G7 advanced industrialized countries, showing how employment and manufacturing has been dropping while manufacturing output has risen substantially. Productivity is now inverse to employment in most sectors. The most advanced form of mechanization is called cybernation, which combines robotics and computerization. Essentially, the computer is the brain of the machine and instructs the machine what to do. Cybernetic machines today are probably the most powerful and influential invention humanity has ever created. The possibilities of these tools are on pace to changing the society in profound ways, including the freeing of the human labor force and exponentially increasing production efficiency. The fact is, there is very little in the way of basic labor that cannot be automated. It is really a simple matter of our social intent. These machines do not need breaks, vacations, insurance, and they are not subject to the emotional inconsistency that we humans tend to fall into that makes us, less consistent in our performance. Here are some examples of this technology. Dynamic catching and holding. My favorite, dribbling. Optical tracking, of course. Throwing. Tweezer manipulation. I like this one, the dynamic catching of a cell phone. Here is an automated kitchen in Japan. Here is a fully automated waitstaff, if you will, in Germany. The possibilities are truly profound. Even as unintuitive as it may seem, I think complex surgery is on pace to full automation and, based on the pattern, will likely become much more reliable than the human hand. The bottom line is that it is socially irresponsible for us not to recognize this pattern and maximize the potential. We must disregard the traditionalized emotional whims we might have. For example, I was reading in a book about technological development in the early 20th century, and there was a story of a woman who refused to buy a new refrigerator because she liked the Iceman. She liked the Iceman who came and brought ice to put in the icebox, which is a wonderful, quaint notion, but it isn't progress. That's romanticism. And I'm not putting down romanticism. I'm a romantic in many ways. But I also recognize that progress means we have to change our values. Life is about adapting. If our scientific ingenuity can create mechanisms that can increase the efficiency of production and overcome scarcity, and in turn give us more free time to pursue larger interests, then we have no choice but to fall in line and change our values accordingly. Machines are extensions of human attributes. They are tools. And not only can they allow for greater productivity, they can also relieve us, as we've seen, of trivial, monotonous labor, enabling possibly a cultural paradigm shift that we can't even imagine.